Today, I wanted to talk about TurboTax self-preparation versus using a preparer to prepare your taxes, and the pros and cons of both of them. All right. But first, I wanted to talk more generally about why some of the reasons why you would choose to do your own taxes through a software like TurboTax, or if you want to use a tax preparer. And you should really use TurboTax if you really like math. Um, you have pretty simple taxes. I mean, it's not overly complex or anything, and you want to learn more about taxes. And taxes are really one of the major rules of making money, because at the end of the day, nothing's guaranteed in life except death and taxes. So learning more about those taxes will allow you to not be penalized, but really be empowered and make those taxes not work against you, but work in your favor, right? And one of the best ways to get in and learn those taxes is just get your hands dirty and and do a your own self-prepared taxes. And using a software like this can help you with that exploration and discovery. You should consider using a tax preparer if your taxes are, if first and foremost, you hate math, you find taxes extremely boring, you know, and really the most important one is if your taxes are really, really complicated. You have tons of property, tons of investments, uh, you know, uh, you just have various things that make it pretty difficult and pretty easy to slip up and mess up, or you have so many questions that can be answered very easily, a lot of gray area, then I would suggest using a tax preparer, using a professional that does that all the time would definitely be better, right? So let's jump into the pros and cons of each one, right? So, like I said before, pros are in blue. Uh, with TurboTax and self preparation, you are more likely to learn tax rules because to answer all of those questions, you have to go through each one. You do research on each one of the questions until you have a good understanding of each of the questions that the software asks you. You also have automatic calculations. So with a tax preparation software, uh, there's almost no chance of a math error, right? More likely, you'll have an understanding error, which is what right here in red, and we'll talk about that in a second. And with TurboTax, it's more likely to be cheaper, which is awesome. Sometimes you could get it on sale. Uh, I saw it one time, $30 to $40. File your state and also your federal. That's super cheap, right? Some of the cons is that you're more likely to have an understanding error. So maybe you thought you could take a deduction, but you really should not have been taking that deduction or declaring that amount. Or maybe, you should have taken the deduction, but you didn't know about it. Once again, you're more likely to have an understanding error. So it's really on you to understand your taxes and try to get the most out of it as possible. It's also more time consuming. I spent more time when I did my own taxes with the tax preparation software. And when you mess up, you're really liable. I mean, there's a little bit of a protection with a tax preparer, but when you do it, you're really at fault because there's no one else to blame but you. All right. So let's move over to tax preparer. Pros are in blue. One of the pro, of course, which is the best thing of all, you don't prepare any of your. You don't have to prepare any of your taxes. You give your mortgage paper, you give your W-2 to their tax preparer, and it's done. It's kind of like magic, right? And you can actually get more deductions with a tax preparer because they go through so many taxes. They say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? A good tax professional are going to ask you all of those questions because they care about you and getting the most for you in your taxes. So, they could help you get tax deductions you never thought you could get, and, help you fix ones that, you thought you could, but hey, you really shouldn't, right? And like we talked about before in our other videos, it's all about trade-offs. Whatever branch pathway you choose between the two, there's trade-offs between the two, and you have to be comfortable with those trade-offs. All right? And of course, that's what I was talking about, consulting service. They consult with you, right? But some of the negatives, you don't really learn about the tax code. I mean, there's so many people that use tax preparers and they just use them and they are so happy to get a $1,400 check, but they have no clue what is happening or why they get that money. A lot of times it's your own money coming back at you. Why are you so excited? And it's because they don't really understand some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. So you don't get to learn too much about the tax code, right? Also, at the same time, it's more likely to cost more when someone is helping you with that, of course, right? So, to sum everything all up, I just want to, and sum up this video. I want to let you know about a little bit about my when I did my taxes through TurboTax for 2013, and then for 2012 I used a tax preparer, and at the end of the day they were pretty similar. Barring my increase in salary and also a couple more deductions I was able to make in 2013, they were pretty much similar. They were a little bit off from one another. And so really it boils down to, what we talked about, the pros and cons, and what type of taxes you have. And, hopefully with this information you can make a good decision on whether, to use TurboTax or tax preparer. And hopefully at the end of the day, your taxes are done well and you get the most out of your taxes. So good luck, and I will talk to you soon.